Hi, good morning, teachers. I want to welcome you guys to another month and with Mr. Parris working on ESB. Today we're going to look at marketing and sales. So the students need to at least understand who their target market is and the demographics, their geographics, where they're located. They need to also understand the psychographic and the behavior. Now, teachers, one of the key things you want to do with your students, for example, demographics, okay, deals with data. So anytime you see anything with numbers or data, you know, hey, it's dealing with demographics. When they look at geographic, it's basically location. So you may have scenario question that says, hey, the client lives in this particular area, South Florida, New York. Behavior is how, you know, it's like what do people do? What do they do? What do they think? So think about behavior as an action. And psychographic is the thinking, the mindset, their attitudes, what are their belief systems, stuff like that. Today's activity is to design your ideal target market customer. Who's that client? So they're going to actually design, they're going to use markers, pens, magazine cutouts, whatever it takes to get their point across, and then they're going to present it once it's done. So this is a active learning activity. So again, make sure your students are doing something active, emotionally involved in the lesson. I think that's critical. It allows them to sustain the information a little longer. All right, so guys, listen up. Today is a challenge. You see the stuff on your desk. We got the scented markers. So what I'm looking for today, we're going to be looking at a concept, which is marketing and sales. So your game plan for today is to kind of understand who is your market? Who is your market for your business, and how do you generate sales for that? So the definition of marketing and sales, information out there, who is your client, all right? And what do they look like, okay? What's the age group? Maybe they may be older people, maybe they're younger people. So consider that when moving forward. Let's go to the next slide. So now, this is important, guys. So your task for today, as you can see, you have the markers and your paper. So we're going to look at the target market. In anything that you do in business, you must identify who your target market is, who your clients are. All right? If you don't know who your clients are,
90% sure that this would be
okay?
I'm not sure.
So if I had to create a customer archetype for this type of client, what do it look like? What's the age group are we looking at? What business called? What's it called?
It's called Classroom Combos.
Classroom combo. Okay. And who's your target market?
The students of New World.
Students of New World. Okay. And the location?
Location, physically in this building, but the access is online.
Online. Okay, okay.
I want to create a network that provides leadership training for women. Like that, it could either be online or through an app. So it's like something that you subscribe to.
Beautiful. So your target market, is it for male?
For young women.
So it's just female. Is there a specific age group?
I'd say young adults, like teenagers to like, I'd say my age range would be 14 to 21.
Okay, okay. All right, good. Thank you.
There it is.
What, do we need to write the question?
what I did the next day now is to share. So before the kids can share this, what I did, I had the kids upload it to Flipgrid. So you'll be seeing some Flipgrid. I get to assess the work before they present. So give a little feedback verbally online. So I use the online tool, which is the Flipgrid, so I can actually get all the kids to record their target market video and upload it and assess it before we start the presentation. On the final day, we had a guest speaker that came in and looked at the kids' work and gave feedback on their target market.
Apps that you were working on today, it looked like it was more of like the businesses were more product based of what you.
All right, so now you saw the kids' work in action and the finished product. So now it's time to hear what they have to say about their piece.
Hi, my name is Logan Ritz. This is my business, Lumina Photos. My business is a nature photography business. So we focus on capturing the beauty of nature through photography and film. And our main focus is to kind of bring awareness and to really capture the beauty of nature, which is really fleeting in today's age due to pollution and just this current climate that we live in. So our main demographic for people who would hire us, so we offer our service mostly to bigger companies looking to photograph either their gardens or for documentaries, for nature documentaries, mainly just to capture the nature and the ecosystems that live in nature.
Hello, I'm Claire Joseph. My company's name is Parris. So the goal of this company is that I've noticed that as an artist, that as the poor get poorer and the rich get richer in these trying times, especially with the ongoing pandemic, young adult artists may feel that the transition from traditional 2D fine arts to performing arts, such as performance art pieces, may be extremely difficult because they don't have access to specific resources or may not know enough people for extras. So I propose a subscription-based program, very cheap, so the people in my community would be able to afford it. And it's a mentor-menteeship based program where young artists who are not very experienced in performance can get together with people who've been in the field for a long time, and they can create performance pieces together. And this will help people make connections, get their name out there, and see some success in this hobby they would like to pursue. Thank you very much.
So, hello, my name is Jade Stanley, and the basis of my business is almost like a employment agency focused towards helping young adults figure out what career path they would like to take. I named it Act So because that's an alias, and it's kind of a need that I see to myself needing. So I think other young adults face this problem. Like, for example, I go to an art school, but I actually want to be a doctor. So I want to figure out a network on building like connections. Like, I wanted in my business a mentorship program.
My group, so my group's business is called the 3 Minute Production. So in this project, we will offer visuals and along with productions that come along with making a film itself. And for people that are trying to start up or get into filmmaking, we will provide these things and the resources for them to make a film and get the music backdrops and all those other things as well. And what makes us different is that they're able to get a portion of the profits of what they made with our company. Oh, and so in our demographics, geographics, and everything else, we usually, our target audience is everyone, because anyone can make films, and basically if they're into filmmaking themselves, we're the perfect match for them.
Hi, we are part of Xanadu Studios. It's basically a film studio, and the goal of the film studio is to get filmmakers from other countries that don't normally get their films seen by American audiences, so as to expand the palette and style of storytelling that we normally see in theaters here in the United States. And
Yeah, it's really, it's just an we're trying to get filmmakers internationally to and to produce work that otherwise might not be told, perhaps because of the access of the country that they're in. And there's so many rich and really sublime stories that we lose, and that ought to be shared more broadly. And so that's what we really want to do. We want to share stories. We want to share our humanity. So we're really that, and with the film festivals, all the great ones, and we're really just looking, and the income, the gender, the age range, all of it doesn't matter. It's really just a way to share stories.
Yeah, so for the psychographic, the lifestyle would be artistic. Interests are cinema, storytelling, things of the sort. Values are artistry, authenticity, the greater good, and all that good stuff.
A very good foundation. Everyone has that. I guess I just say work on like the enthusiasm of it, but I do think everyone's presentations were good.
Okay. So work on the delivery.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I also think that since there's competitions in April, which I didn't know that it was that late in the year, so I think it's great that we started so much earlier, because I think this is a great starting point for everyone, and I think this is really good to kind of like give some like constructive criticism to be able to grow for when we have that final presentation. So I think that's why this is really helpful.
Perfect. Anyone else?
Come with time for you to get comfortable with that, but if you believe in your product and what you're providing, then that is going to come natural to you. Now, the difference between today's presentations and yesterday's presentations is that I noticed yesterday a lot of you had apps that you were working on. Today, it looked like there was more of like the businesses were more product-based of what you were going to hire. Somebody was going to hire you for a specific process or for a specific product or outcome. So with that, those of you that presented today, I want you to really think about, you're thinking about big picture. Now start funneling down your idea into one specific audience, especially the gentleman that talked about the filmmaking component. I think the one that was wearing the gray jacket, you talked about any age group, any area, any, really they can be from anywhere. But what I want you to think about is how are you going to have staff members on your team that are experts or are well trained in various genres of film for them to make a film that's appropriate to your customer. So maybe you do want to start smaller into one specific genre or one specific target area, and then as your goal to expand your business would be to really add more of those genres. So like think about what's the popular one that is underrepresented maybe for your specific target audience, or vice versa, which is a genre that is not well represented in the industry, and how we're going to do that. So definitely think about narrowing down your option, because that's going to be one of the questions the judges is going to ask you is, well, how are you going to hire someone that would fit every genre? For the two gentlemen that went last, with the international film component, one of my first questions while you were presenting was, how is this different than an art festival? And you talked about recruiting from art festivals, which is great. But you also mentioned that income is not a problem, or it's not something you're concerned about for the filmmaker, and you want to tell those stories that are untold stories. So with that message, one of the things that a judge is going to ask you is, how are you going to reach out to those international communities that have no access to internet, no access to cameras, or limited access to internet, right? To tell their stories, to provide them with these resources. So think about that piece of how do you connect those two components into it. And the first young lady that went with the nature photography, one of the things that I can see folks asking you is, how is this different than National Geographic, right? So that's going to be the biggest piece, or how are you going to compete with National Geographic? Since a lot of what they do is capture those photography of different parts of nature, right? Based on what they're trying to highlight. So I love the ideas. I love how you guys are really thinking more about your specific areas of strength and what you're passionate about. So now it's just about like differentiating, how am I going to make myself different from someone else? Even the young lady with the career exploration piece. Career development is something that is often talked about at the high school level, at the college level, even professionally. How many, you can talk to professionals and they'll tell you, yes, I started in this career, but after 3-4 years in it, I moved careers. Or even now, as professionals, a lot of people would tell you, I majored in this, but I'm doing the other. I'm not working in something within my major. So if you're thinking about going to medical school, maybe one cool factor you want to add is how many current medical students or how many graduates of a medical program came from an arts background. I would personally tell you, when I used to work at the University of Florida, one of my students, there was a chemistry and drama major on a pre-med track. And the medical schools loved it because she had a very different background. It was that artistic component that allowed her to become more in tune with the people's emotions and things of that nature. So how does that make a difference? I love your idea. If you're gonna focus it more on the arts and how do we provide opportunities for art-related students outside of the arts, I think that would make your business very unique. Because there's a lot of agencies that do career development, career exploration, especially free and public agencies like Career Source. They're all over in Florida, and it's a government-funded agency. But I think if you narrow yours down to providing career options for art-related students, then that makes your target audience a little bit more direct. But then it also allows you to then provide more tangible deliverables for your customer. Because a lot of artists, and Nifty is one of them, we have a lot of folks in our team that come from an arts background. The folks that do events, they do drama, they do musical theater, they do art. So a lot of our own staff come from a drama, theater, art background. And we just, that's just kind of what we do on the side because we love it and it's fun, but we also do, this is our work, but there's opportunities for us to blend both of those passions into one. So definitely think about how you're going to narrow your career options into one piece. Overall, I think it's really just a matter of everyone getting comfortable with their presentation skills. I really liked how the young lady that got nervous just pivoted and said, hey, I'm just going to read what I have written. That's okay. It's okay for you to pivot. It's okay for you to just do a quick reset and continue on with your presentation. So don't be afraid to, even though you may have rehearsed specific words, if you forget what you were gonna say in what order, that's okay because you know your product better than I do. You know your product better than any judge would know it. So we're not gonna know whether or not you missed the sentence or you missed a word or two. If you're speaking with confidence about your product, we're never gonna know the difference.
Wow.
Do you guys have any questions for me? Folks that presented yesterday versus folks that presented today. Definitely think about how, if you were the judge of one of your classmates, what questions would you ask them, right? I think that's a good way for you to practice. Ask your peers in class. If you were to judge me based on my presentation, would you, how much money, how would you place me in the class, right? What kind of questions will you have asked me? That's important because then that allows you to then narrow the gaps of what do I need to cover my presentation to make sure I'm answering any potential questions that a judge may ask me during my presentation, and then that way avoid that piece. Some of you talked about how your company makes money, others didn't. So that's again another piece of like making sure you always talk about how are you going to make money, okay? How is it, if it's a nonprofit, how are you going to have income to run your nonprofit organization? And if it's a for-profit, how are you making money on a consistent basis, okay?
So we're about to make the announcement of the winners for the target market pitch. Come on in. All right, now this is very tough. They all did a wonderful job, but I told them to just make it 4 winners, 4. Okay, so number 1 that he thought had a viable business was David.
Yes.
Good job, David, on that.
Yeah.
Okay. The next person that did a wonderful job was the Pushin' Pals.
Hey, that's good.
Pushin' Pals. The next group he mentioned that we thought it was amazing. Their colors was very detailed. A lot of good details and stuff. Goes to this group right here. He loved the international business concept. Yep. And then there was one group. This was tough. He said, man, I think that's a hit. Mr. Parris, they can go all the way to New York City. They can take the whole $20,000. Daddy, where you at? Daddy, come on in me. Yes. Now there you have it, from beginning to end, a lesson that's active, emotionally engaging, is critical, and fun. Having a blast is key. Remember, teachers, you have to make it fun for you, fun for the kids, and continue to innovate and be creative of how you deliver your lessons. Again, this is Mr. Parris. Thank you for your time, and I'll be checking you on the next video. Thank you. Welcome to Mr. Parris class, the Money Move Shot. This is what we about in this class, making power move. So guess what? You come to my class, you making some dinero. Money moves, baby.